So in this lesson, we're going to take the spheres that we painted in the previous lesson, and we're going to just add a few modifications to them. So we'll get started now. So we're going to create a new layer here. I'm just going to title it Alter. I'm going to use a different brush. I think I'm going to use this soft round brush. I think I want to give it a slightly like flat or sort of like indentation. So let's see if I can get this right here. Right there already, that sort of starts to feel a little flat. Like a different surface. So you have this round bone, then you have this slightly flat sort of surface. Because the light is coming from up this direction, you're going to get light on this side of that circle, and then you're going to get shadow here. So let me hit this with a little shadow. This is at 100%. Let me bring this down to 30. Turn that on. Leave it there, 34. So now we're going to give it just a little shadow here and blend that. Just a couple strokes here and there, you get this soft sort of indentation kind of effect. And if you wanted this to feel even more flat, you could probably push that color a little bit further up. But let's leave it this way for now. This edge is really hard. It's really crisp. So I want to just give it a little blur, just so it feels a little bit more natural. You want to remember to always be efficient, right? So you always want to try to stay on top of your layers and make sure that your structure makes sense. Because the more that we do that, the more that we understand what we're painting on and what we shouldn't be. So you want to stay on top of that and make sure you're efficient as possible. Let's keep working here. Another thing I want to show you actually is creating a hole. Instead of a circle, let's do more of a line. Sort of like a piggy bank. Has a little slit for the coins. I'm selecting whatever the darkest color is, and so this is your hole, and then from that value scale I'm just taking the next color up. Maybe that's still a little too dark. Because what's happening here is that the light is coming from up here. It's bouncing off of the edge of this and then reflecting a little in here. So this isn't as dark as that. This gives it that edge. This has got some thickness to it. You might want to give this a little highlight here, which is what I was trying to do in that other example, but I think it works a little nicer here. Now you have this little slit. See that my eraser is that other brush. I want to change it over to this one so they match. I just want to give this a slightly harder edge. That is how we would create a hole, and this could be any shape, but kind of keeping this in mind, continuing to think about light and where the shadows land. I'll create another layer here. Let's see. That one I'll title hole. I'll title this flat. And then this one up here, I think I want to kind of paint something that it's like an edge. So we're just kind of extruding. So if this was clay or a sculpt, but again, just continuing to think about where the light is coming. This plane right here will be the front. This is that side, and then the top. Make it a little bit lighter. Colors are probably not spot on, and I think that's too much up here. Shave that down a little bit, erase that away. So this is your darker side. This is catching some light because light wraps around the objects. Because the light's coming from up here, this is the brightest side. So thinking about those three different levels of light. Now I'm going to turn this on, and this might to trap all of my pixels within that shape. I think that this might be a little bit lighter. Let's see. Maybe this should blend a little bit. You can soften that edge, and this is all preference here. So the softer this edge is, the more rounded. And so if I want to soften this up here, this edge, it might make sense to soften this edge here. So I'm going to soften that a little bit. Because this is extruding and the light is coming from up here, then you might have a little shadow on this side. So let's see what that looks like. Let's turn this off. I'm going to title this Extrude, and I'm going to create a new layer and put it underneath that. Title that Shadow. And now let's see, let's try to find the right color for that shadow. It's coming out a little here, so I'm gonna command click on the sphere while having the shadow layer selected, and then hit my mask icon here. It'll trap my shadow within that. I think the shadow might be a little softer too. I'm gonna just blend that out a little bit. And I think that the shadow can probably get softer back here, but say a little sharper up here in the front. So this will have a shadow. Maybe it gets a little bit darker as it gets closer to the edge. We've created different kind of planes. This is a little bit flat, this is a hole, this is kind of extruding. On this extrude layer, I might catch a little bit of that blue. The more that you paint, the more that your guesses will feel a little bit more accurate. Just wanted to kind of show you different little things, different little techniques for adding different planes and different understanding to how the light and shadows kind of fall on an object. Okay, so now that we're done with modifications, we learned how to really add some bumps, some more geometry, if you will, extrusions and things like that to the simple sphere. We learned how to modify it and give it more shape. So for more visual interest. In this next lesson, we're going to learn how to add some texture and some blur to add even more depth of field.